Thank you so much for joining us today on Coffee With. I am Skyping a group of people in that, well, this is a new experience for us. Yeah, okay, so we're excited about this. I have the Brain Trust, right? Are y'all the Brain Trust? Nobody's speaking except for me. Of Ringers, which is a new comedy series, and I don't even know where y'all are all located, but I know several of you are in New York City. But here's who we have with us today. Rebecca Barko, Cornelius Bethea. Say hello, Cornelius, so everybody will know which one's you. Kristopher Morron.
Hi.
And Patrick Miller, and we have Patrick's voice, but not his picture. Say hello, Patrick.
Hello.
There we go. So, tell me about Ringers. Rebecca, I'm going to start with you.
This actually kind of was my brainchild in that this is based on my experience of being a ringer, which is a paid section leader in a church choir for the past, and I was thinking about it today, 15 years, which is crazy. I got my first ringer job in undergrad, and I've had one ever since, and it is my survival job. And I pitched the idea to Cornelius this past June, and he was really excited and said, yeah, let's write the sitcom. And Ringers was born.
Well, it sounds like a really funny plot to me, which is what caught my attention when I saw it on Facebook. And now you're not only one of the creators and the producer, but you're also the lead role, right?
Well, the four ringers, Patrick may disagree. Eventually, they'll all be evened out. There won't be one lead per se, but the four ringers, it really follows their lives. But it was easy to intro, kind of lead with me, since it was from my perspective to start.
Okay. So you're playing the part of Rachel.
Yep.
Okay. And I want say this one more time. A ringer is a paid singer in a church choir.
Yes, I mean, they hire ringers for all sorts of things. You know, there could be, I can't think of any other examples at this moment, but, you know, the term ringer is very common in the music world. Someone hired in, it could be instrumentalists or singers, but somebody who's trained to help the choir, the group, the ensemble sound better.
Okay, so Cornelius, you and Rebecca created this program, this script. Did y'all write it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it was Rebecca's life, I actually, for the past year, have been doing a lot of like theatrical consulting. So I've been doing some directing, and then there's a company here in New York that I've been brought in to kind of be a theatrical advisor. So basically, when she pitched it to me, I was like, okay, well, just spit out 12, 15 years of like all the craziest stories of things that have happened. And then we sat down together and started thinking about, so what would be a great first season arc? Because we were advised by a friend of mine who works in production that, you know, you should always just start with like a full 2 seasons ahead in your mind, ready to go, as far as, you know, where things are going. So yeah, that's the first thing that we did. We sat down, looked at all of these stories, and started just piecing together and kind of create an entertaining arc out of them.
Okay, so Chris, what role are you playing here? What is your involvement with this?
So Rebecca and I go back to undergraduate. We went to undergraduate together at Bowling Green, not in Kentucky, but in Ohio. And we were music majors. And Rebecca and I grew up in the same hometown. So I actually live outside of Cleveland in Lakewood, Ohio. And she was home visiting during the summer, and I was telling her about my production company, Sombrero Brothers Productions, and all the things that I was working on. And then she was like, wow, I got this idea for a TV show. And she told me about it, and I was like, that's brilliant. You absolutely have to do that. It's a really good idea, and there's an audience out there for it. So, you know, skip ahead to what was it, November or December, she's like, hey, we have a script and we're ready to film it, and do you want to write music? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm really excited about that possibility. And then it was kind of like, well, send me the screenplay so I can look at it and get an idea of like what the story's about, who the characters are. And then I was just like, as soon as I read what Cornelius had written, I was like, I really like this a lot. Like, this is a really good script, and I want to be a bigger part of it. So basically, I kind of wrote them an email that was like, you guys are awesome, and I really want to be a part of your team, so would you make me associate producer? And they're like, sure, let's do it. So so now I'm the composer, sound editor, and associate producer on Ringers.
Yeah, I can tell you're the Mr. Life of the party, Chris.
You know, I might just be a little delirious at the moment, that's all.
Why are you sitting there holding a ukulele?
Well, you know, this is...
what does that have to do with Ringers?
You know, Rebecca and Cornelius will find this out later this evening, but the theme song for Ringers actually includes the ukulele. So this is a little foreshadowing, that's all, Robyn.
Can we hear just a snippet?
Yeah, I mean, this is just the ukulele part, but...
That's pretty catchy.
Hey, thanks.
Look, I just know. I hadn't even said, I don't want anybody to think y'all have sent me anything in advance. I haven't seen the pilot. I haven't seen anything. I've never even met y'all. You know, I saw this on Facebook, but I just know this show is going to be a hit. I just know it. I know it is. Now, I'm kind of ignoring Patrick over here. Patrick, you were cast as one of the, what is Martin? And is that correct?
Yeah, as one of the ringers.
Okay, as one of the ringers. So tell us about Martin.
Well, it's probably good that you ignored me for a little bit, because getting all the background and on sort of the laying the groundwork with Cornelius and Chris and Rebecca, I came in much later in the project as most of the actors were in the show. Well, Martin is one of the four ringers. He's, I guess, kind of an early 30s guy. He's still trying to figure out where he kind of settle into the life that he wants to have. He teaches high school math, and he directs the high school play, high school plays and musicals, and he lives in his sister's basement.
He sounds maybe a little bit nerdy.
Yes?
Cornelius is cracking up. Why are you cracking up?
Well, he does tuck his shirt in. Wink, wink.
Yes. Yeah, well, you know, if you go back to a Seinfeld episode where they said, well, you know, you're in your 30s, you keep a clean house, you know, you're a very neat person.
Maybe you're a little
metrosexual. Well, you know, that's what I think Martin is, but we don't really know. I mean, there's a little ambiguity there maybe about Martin and
now, what was
life?
Wait, I read something about Martin's sister wearing a muumuu all day. What was that? Is that right? Am I remembering that?
Yes.
She spends way too much time in front of the television. So her world basically is through the eyes of what you see on television. So she just sits there in her house coat, full makeup and hair and nails, but rarely leaves the house, if ever.
Rebecca, you said this is all kind of based on some real life experience that you had? Mm-hmm. Explain how are the characters based on those real life experiences too?
We'll say they're inspired by the real life experiences. You know, and it's interesting, the more people have read it or have seen it or we've told them about the characters, they all go, oh yeah, I know that person, or oh yeah, that was that person. I mean, these are kind of universal archetypes that everybody can relate to in this show. So it's a, you know, for a big audience.
Had either of you ever written a script before?
No.
Had you acted before? I mean, did you just sit down and say, well, I'm just going to write a script? I mean, I would have no idea how to write a script for a TV show.
I have never written for a TV show per se, but I'm a writer. That's what I do. This is not my first time developing text for something.
I did want to ask y'all about the name of your company. You have named it Survival Job Media, and when I read that, I was like, I bet there's a story there.
Well, Survival Job wasn't our first choice, but we were recommended to change our first choice to something else. Cornelius brought up Survival Job because that's what Ringers is for me. I mean, it's a survival job while I'm trying to be an actress. And he has his survival job of the office.
We all have jobs that we need to do to pay the bills, to make ends meet and whatever. And the thing is that we're all artists and we all do this. This is what we're passionate about. It's just that, for artists, in particular independent artists, it takes a long time for us to get to the point where the industry will even pay attention to what we're doing. And so we work our day jobs and we come home at night and we stay up to ridiculous hours in the morning writing screenplays or writing music or editing scenes because it's what we want to do, it's what we're passionate about. And I think the whole point of Ringers and Survival Media is that you put the time in, you put the effort in, you work really hard, you put out a good product, and you make opportunities for yourself, and that's, I think, what we're really hoping to do here. So,
Chris, what is your survival job?
Well, I don't want to talk about it too much because my students, I'm a school teacher. I teach music at a high school and a middle school outside of Cleveland. Patrick, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about how you got cast for this role as Martin.
Well, it's funny, when I first submitted for the show, I actually submitted for consideration for the choir director, and when I arrived at the audition with my part learned, my what are called sides, my lines that I was going to audition with, I got there and I looked around and everybody else around me was 15 years older than I was, and just I could, sometimes you walk into an audition and you can tell that you don't look like anybody else, and probably is not the right role for you. But I went in and I read for Rebecca and Cornelius, and they were very gracious. And after I finished reading, they kind of looked at each other and looked at me, and they said, "Were you supposed to audition for Martin?" I said, "I don't know. This is what you told me to come in for." And they said, "Well, here are Martin's lines. Why don't you work on them and come back and read them to us?" So, and when I had been working on the choir director role, it just didn't quite fit. Just didn't feel quite right. And when they handed me Martin's script, I just couldn't believe it. Like it was very comfortable. It fit really well. And actually, they don't know this, but when I was I'm a trained musician and classical singer, and when I was in graduate school, in order to be able to pay for graduate school, I lived in my parents' basement. So, and
did y'all know that?
No.
No, they didn't know that. And by the way, I have been a ringer in the past in the Catholic church choirs, but I'm not now.
He just wants to make sure y'all know he's not now.
Right. Yeah, right. I do not live in my parents' basement. No. So when this role was originally written, it was written actually. I was living in my mother's basement, so I was laughing even more at it at the time.
That's funny.
So when I read through this scene that I was auditioning for, it was, as I told them at the audition, it was so well written. So often actors go into an audition reading material that is, shall we say, subpar, and sometimes we see that on television. But I read this and I was like, wow, it's really funny and it's real, and it just had a great feel to it, the scene, and maybe that's why it felt like it fits so well for me. A, because it was really well written, but it just had this ring for me, no pun intended,
You beat me too.
Patrick, you can't see all the
No.
hand pumping that's going on by Cornelius.
Oh, really?
And they're happy
But-
about your comments about it being very well written.
Well, it was. I've read a lot of this stuff, and some of it's stuff, and some of it's good. And this was good.
Patrick, can I say, I'm so glad to hear you actually submitted for Franklin, because Cornelius and I, for the longest time, thought we messed up. And we thought you had submitted for Martin, and we went, no, read for Franklin. So, okay, good. That's great.
Well, frankly, I submitted for both of them. It all worked out, didn't it?
It did in the end.
It all worked out.
Yeah. So yeah, when I finished reading, I called my wife and I said, I really hope I get this, because it's just one of those roles that I feel like it just fit me really well. Like my personality, the words could have come out of my mouth.
Do y'all know how many people you auditioned for, not just for Martin, but total? Do y'all have any clue how many people you auditioned?
Well, we had over 500 submissions in total. We auditioned probably about 100 people for all the roles.
When are you launching this?
Tuesday, March 4th, we're having a launch party in New York City, and after we do a premiere for the cast and the crew and the donors, then we're going to push the button and we're going to go live, and it will be on our website and it will be on YouTube and Vimeo.
Okay, so we'll be able to, will you have the link on your Facebook page, or?
Absolutely.
And we'll get to watch it from there. Now, Cornelius, I did notice that there was, coincidentally, a character on here named Cornelius who is Rachel's friend.
Yeah, of course.
Would that be you?
Yeah.
Did you write yourself in to the...
Okay, dude. I needed an on-screen credit.
That's funny. Okay. What else do y'all want to talk about here? If you're gonna drag our little Vicksburg, Mississippi video around, what do you want to be sure we put on here?
I just want to say that I drove from Cleveland to New York for the filming, and I was working the boom mic and helping with sound and other odd jobs. And here's the amazing thing, Robyn. Like, everybody on set we all did different things. So Cornelius, most of the way through, is donning his director's hat, but then of course there's the scene that he's actually in, and I'm miking sound, but then I'm also the piano accompanist, and then Patrick is doing his acting, and I'm sure that at some point he helped move stuff. The amazing thing about this whole production is that, like, everybody went above and beyond, and I think that at the end of the day, when we had our meetings and we were just kind of talking about what happened, I think the most common thing we said was, I can't believe how well this cast gets along, or I can't believe that went as smoothly as it did, or I can't believe this or that. It just seemed like we had 4 days to film and rehearse, and it could have been a disaster, but it went so smoothly, and I can say that now because there's no possibility of jinxing future filming because it's all done. But it just went really, really well, and then to watch Patrick and all the other cast members bring to life what Cornelius had written, and then to even expand upon, and Rebecca, yeah, and then to even expand upon that, like what Dawn was phenomenal. I mean, geez, oh man, the whole scene between Dawn, it was so good. It was so funny.
How many episodes did y'all film?
Just one.
Just one. And so what's the next step? Once you release this or launch it, then what will you do after that? Other than just hope and pray that a lot of people will go and watch it, then what is the next step?
Well, we're actually going to have a meeting about that once we get off the interview with you. So, question mark?
Is there anything else any of y'all want to say?
I'm 6'2". I'm a Gemini.
Wait, are you shopping?
I love to laugh.
Was this a singles ad?
I love long walks in the park.
Wait, Are you going to put up there what you're looking for? Flip the card over and write on the other side what you're looking for. That's hilarious. Hilarious. Well, I thank y'all so much for joining me. Like I said when we started, I just believe y'all are going to be hugely successful. I hope that you will, because y'all seem like very talented people and funny people, and I'm looking forward to this. I hope maybe I'm one of the first people to hit that button and watch it. I appreciate y'all joining me, and let us know how things are going. You know, when you get hugely famous, don't forget that we were your first interview, right?
Absolutely.
Well, not.